I've been feeling kind of off lately. It's hard to explain, but I don't really feel like myself. It's like I'm doing everything I normally do, but something feels different. I wake up, go through my day, and then suddenly it's over. And I'm left thinking about what I actually did. And the weird part is nothing is technically wrong, but at the same time, nothing feels right either. It makes me question everything, like what I'm doing with my life, if I'm on the right path, or if I'm just wasting time.
Yeah, I understand that feeling more than I'd like to admit. It's like your mind never really turns off. Even when you're not doing anything, you're still thinking about everything at once. Your life, your future, what you should be doing, what you're not doing. It becomes exhausting, and the more you think about it, the heavier it feels.
Exactly. And it just stays there in the background. Even when I'm trying to relax or enjoy something, it doesn't fully go away. It's like I'm there physically, but mentally I'm somewhere else. And I think part of it comes from feeling like I should be further in life by now. I always thought I would feel more stable, more sure of things, but I don't. I still feel like I'm figuring everything out.
I think that's more normal than people realize. A lot of people feel that way, they just don't talk about it. From the outside, it looks like everyone has it together, but most people are just figuring things out as they go. Social media makes it worse because you only see the highlights. You see people doing well, traveling, succeeding, and it creates this illusion that you're behind.
Yeah, I definitely compare myself more than I should. I'll see people I know or even strangers online and think they're so far ahead, and then I start questioning myself. But I know deep down I don't see their full story. I don't see their struggles or their bad days, just the good moments they choose to share.
Exactly, and comparing your everyday life to someone else's highlights will always make you feel like you're behind. It's not a fair comparison. Instead of focusing on where someone else is, it helps to focus on your own progress, even if it feels slow, because slow progress is still progress, and most people overlook that.
I think that's something I struggle with. I focus more on what I haven't done instead of what I have done. And when you look at it that way, it feels like you're not moving at all, even when you actually are.
That's very common. People are usually much harder on themselves than they need to be. If a friend was in your situation, you'd probably be understanding, patient, and supportive. But when it comes to yourself, it's different. You expect more and give yourself less grace.
Yeah, that's true. I don't really give myself credit for anything. I just move on to the next thing I feel like I should be doing.
And that's why it never feels like enough. There has to be some balance between wanting to grow and appreciating where you are. Otherwise, you're always chasing something and never feeling satisfied.
I think I've been doing that a lot, always thinking I'll feel better once I reach a certain point. But when I get there, it just turns into another goal.
That's a cycle. If you're always focused on the future, you miss what's happening right now. And that's part of why you feel stuck. Not because you're not moving, but because you're not recognizing your movement.
That makes sense. I've also noticed how repetitive my days feel. I wake up, check my phone, scroll for a while, rush into everything, and then I'm tired by the end of the day. Then I repeat it again. It feels like I'm stuck in a loop.
That's a pattern, and patterns create your life. If nothing in the pattern changes, then nothing really changes overall. That's why starting small matters. Not changing everything at once, just one thing in your routine.
Like what?
Your mornings are a good place to start. Right now, your day starts with distraction. What if it started with intention instead? Even something simple like not checking your phone right away and giving yourself a few minutes to just wake up and breathe.
I actually tried that recently. It felt strange at first, but also kind of peaceful. Like I had a moment to myself before everything started.
That's the impact of small changes. They don't feel big in the moment, but they shift how you feel and how you think. And that carries into the rest of your day.
I think I rely too much on motivation, though. Some days I feel ready to do things, and other days I don't want to do anything at all.
That's normal. But motivation isn't something you can depend on. It comes and goes. That's why discipline matters. Doing something even when you don't feel like it is what creates real change.
That's the part I struggle with, staying consistent. I usually start strong and then stop.
That happens when you try to do too much at once. It becomes overwhelming. Instead, focus on one small habit and repeat it daily. Consistency is more important than intensity.
I'm starting to understand that. It's not about doing something big one time, it's about doing something small every day.
Exactly. Small actions build momentum, and momentum builds confidence. And confidence changes how you see yourself.
I've also been noticing how much I overthink. I spend a lot of time in my head, planning, worrying, thinking about what could go wrong, and then I end up doing nothing.
Overthinking keeps you stuck because it feels like progress, but it's not. Taking action, even small action, is what actually moves you forward.
So instead of waiting until I feel ready, I should just start?
Yes, because ready is a feeling, and feelings change. Action creates readiness, not the other way around.
I think I've been waiting for everything to feel right before I start.
And that's why you haven't started. There will never be a perfect time. You have to begin where you are, even if it's messy or imperfect.
That's a different way of looking at it.
It's a more realistic way. Growth isn't perfect. It's uncomfortable, slow, and sometimes frustrating, but it's worth it.
I've also been thinking about how I talk to myself. It's not always positive. I tell myself I'm behind or not doing enough.
That kind of thinking keeps you stuck. Instead of trying to force positive thoughts, just question the negative ones. Ask yourself if they're actually true or just how you feel in the moment.
That helps create some distance from those thoughts.
Exactly. And in that space, you have more control. You don't have to believe everything you think.
I feel like I'm starting to see things more clearly.
That's what awareness does. It doesn't fix everything instantly, but it gives you direction.
I think I'm finally understanding that change doesn't come from one big moment. It comes from small decisions I make every day.
That's exactly it. Real change is built over time. It's not dramatic, but it's consistent.
I feel more hopeful than I did before.
That's a good sign. Because once you believe change is possible, you start acting differently.
I'm going to keep the small habits going. My mornings, maybe adding a short walk and just being more aware of how I spend my time.
That's a strong plan. It's simple, realistic, and sustainable.
I think that's what I needed. Not something extreme, just something I can actually stick with.
And that's what will make the difference. Not what you do once, but what you do consistently.
I feel like I'm finally moving forward, even if it's small.
That's how it starts. And over time, those small steps turn into something bigger.
Yeah, one step at a time.
Exactly. One step at a time.
Do you ever worry about falling back into old habits?
Yeah, that's actually something I've been thinking about. Because I've tried to change before. And eventually I just went back to how things were.
That's a real concern.
Change isn't just about starting, it's about maintaining.
So how do I not fall back?
You make your habits realistic. If something is too hard to maintain, you won't stick with it.
That makes sense. I think before, I made things too strict, like all or nothing. And when I couldn't keep up, I just stopped completely.
That's a common pattern. Instead of all or nothing. Think flexible.
What do you mean?
Even if you miss a day, you don't quit, you just continue the next day.
So it's not about being perfect, and it's about not stopping.
Exactly. Because stopping completely is what resets everything.
I think I needed to hear that. Because I always thought missing one day meant I failed.
Not at all. Missing one day is normal. Quitting is the problem.
That changes how I see it.
Good. Because it removes pressure. And pressure is what makes people give up.
Yeah, I feel like pressure is a big part of it. I put a lot of pressure on myself to be better, to do more.
That's not always a bad thing, but it becomes a problem when it overwhelms you.
I think that's what happens.
Then balance it, push yourself, but also understand yourself.
That's a good way to look at it.
Because if you're too hard on yourself, you burn out. And if you're too easy on yourself, you don't grow. So it's about finding that middle.
Exactly. I feel like I'm starting to find that. It takes time.
But you're moving in the right direction. That's what matters.
Yeah, I don't feel as stuck anymore.
That's progress. And it didn't come from one big change. It came from awareness. And small actions,
Exactly.
that's how it works. And that's how it continues.
I think I can keep this going.
You can, just don't rush it. Stay consistent, stay aware, and keep taking small steps.
Yeah,
One step at a time.
exactly. One step at a time, that's what I keep reminding myself, and I think that's the biggest shift for me right now. Before, I always felt like I needed to change everything at once, like if I wasn't doing something big, it didn't count. But now I'm starting to see that those small steps actually matter more than anything else. They're easier to repeat, and because of that, they actually stick.
That's a huge realization. Most people overlook that because small changes don't feel exciting. They don't feel like progress in the moment. But over time, they build something real. And the fact that you're noticing that now means you're already moving in a different direction than before.
Yeah, and I think what's helping is that I'm not trying to rush it anymore. Before, I always had this pressure in the back of my mind, like I needed to be somewhere else already. But now I'm starting to accept where I am, and that's making it easier to actually move forward.
That pressure can really slow you down without you realizing it. When you feel like you're constantly behind, you end up rushing your decisions, rushing your progress, and then you burn out. Slowing down doesn't mean you're not improving. It just means you're giving yourself space to improve properly.
I think I'm starting to understand that now. It's not about how fast things change, it's about whether they actually last. And the only way for something to last is if I can keep doing it consistently without feeling overwhelmed.
Exactly. Sustainability is what most people miss. Anyone can do something for a few days or even a couple of weeks. But the real question is, can you keep doing it when it's no longer exciting, when it feels normal, even a little boring? That's where real change happens.
That part used to throw me off. As soon as something started to feel repetitive, I would think it wasn't working anymore, like I needed to switch things up or do something bigger. But now I'm starting to see that repetition is actually a good sign. It means I'm building something.
That's a powerful shift. Repetition isn't failure, it's progress. It means you're reinforcing something. And the more you repeat something, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, it doesn't even feel like effort anymore. It just becomes part of who you are.
I want that. I want things to feel natural instead of forced. Because before, everything felt forced, like I was trying to push myself into a version of me that didn't feel real yet.
That's because you were probably trying to change too fast. When you take smaller steps, the change feels more natural because you're giving yourself time to adjust. You're not forcing it, you're building it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've also been noticing how different my days feel now, even with small changes. It's not like everything is perfect, but I don't feel as overwhelmed as I used to.
That's important. Feeling less overwhelmed is a sign that you're doing something right. Because when your mind isn't overloaded, you can think more clearly, make better decisions, and stay more consistent.
I think that's what's helping me the most. My mind feels a little quieter. Not completely, but enough to where I can actually notice what I'm doing instead of just reacting to everything.
That awareness is everything. When you're constantly reacting, you don't have control. You're just moving from one thing to the next. But when you slow down and become aware, you start making intentional decisions instead of automatic ones.
That's a big difference. Before, I didn't even realize how much I was just reacting to things. My phone, my thoughts, my environment. Now I catch it more often. Not every time, but more than before.
And that's progress. It's not about being perfect. It's about improving your awareness little by little. The more you notice, the more control you have.
I've also been thinking about something else, the idea of trusting myself more. Because I realized I didn't really trust myself to stay consistent. That's why I kept doubting whether anything would actually change.
That's a really important point. Trusting yourself doesn't come from thinking, it comes from doing. Every time you follow through on something, even something small, you build that trust.
So it's like proving it to myself over time.
Exactly. You're showing yourself that you can rely on your own actions. And the more you do that, the more confident you become in your ability to change.
I can already feel a small difference. It's not huge, but it's there. Like I don't doubt myself as much as I did before.
That's how it starts. Small shifts in how you see yourself. And those small shifts eventually turn into a completely different mindset.
I think before, I was always looking for something outside of me to change, like I needed a new opportunity or a new situation. But now I'm starting to see that a lot of it comes from what I do daily.
That's a big realization. External changes can help, but they don't fix internal patterns. If your habits stay the same, your results usually stay the same too.
So if I change my habits, everything else starts to change too.
Over time, yes, because your habits shape your days and your days shape your life. It's all connected.
That makes sense. I've also been noticing how much energy I used to waste on things that didn't really matter, like scrolling for hours or overthinking situations that I couldn't control.
That's very common. And once you become aware of it, it becomes easier to redirect that energy into something more useful.
I've been trying to do that. Not perfectly, but more than before.
That's all that matters. Progress, not perfection.
I feel like that's becoming a theme.
Because it's true. Perfection keeps you stuck, but progress keeps you moving.
I think I used to think they were the same thing.
A lot of people do, but they're completely different. One stops you and the other moves you forward.
I'm starting to feel more in control of my life. Not completely, but more than before.
That's a big step. Control doesn't mean everything is perfect. It just means you're more aware of your actions and your choices.
Yeah, and I think that awareness is what I was missing.
Now you have it. And the more you use it, the stronger it becomes.
I feel like I can actually keep going this time.
You can. Just don't rush it, don't overcomplicate it, and don't expect instant results. Stay consistent, stay aware, and keep building.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it simple.
That's the best way to do it.
Simple, consistent, and steady.
Exactly. That's what leads to real change.